The White House is the setting of many ghost stories involving presidents and first ladies. But the stories about the Thing during President Taft's term still baffle historians over 100 years later. I'm Bob Summers, and this is a spooky presidential story. There is no shortage of ghost stories at the White House. Most are about the presidents and their families, such as President Thomas Jefferson playing his violin in the Yellow Oval Room, and President William Henry Harrison haunting the attic. Since the 1860s, there have been stories about President Andrew Jackson lying in his bed in the Queen's bedroom, roaring with a guttural laugh. Mary Lincoln also claimed to have heard Jackson stomping and swearing through the halls. The most prolific of the presidential specters to be seen, felt, or heard is that of Abraham Lincoln. From Presidents Harry Truman and Theodore Roosevelt to First Ladies Grace Coolidge and Eleanor Roosevelt, and sometimes even the president's adult children like Margaret Truman and Maureen Reagan, they have all had a run-in with Lincoln. The most famous Lincoln ghost story happened to Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands in 1942 while she was a guest in the White House. The Queen heard footsteps outside her bedroom, followed by a knock at the door. When she opened the door, she saw Lincoln in a frock coat and top hat standing in front of her. She promptly fainted. There are even First Lady sightings in the White House, like Dolly Madison's ghost protecting the Rose Garden, and the ghost of Abigail Adams hanging laundry in the East Room shortly after her 1818 death. President Taft's household staff could even smell wet laundry and the scent of lavender soap before watching Adams's ghost disappear through a wall. There have even been a few non-presidential ghosts, like David Burns, who had owned the land on which the White House now stands. A reporter during the Truman administration told a security guard that while standing in the Yellow Oval Room, he heard a faint, ghostly voice say, "I'm Mr. Burns." But there is one White House ghost that no one has yet been able to identify, the Thing, and there is only one source for this tale, Major Archibald Willingham de Graffenried Clarendot Butt, or Archie to his friends. Major Butt came to the White House in 1908 to serve as a military aide to President Theodore Roosevelt and stayed on during the administration of President William Howard Taft, also acting as a personal secretary. Major Butt would write daily to his sister Clara about the goings-on in the White House. On July 26, 1911, Major Butt started his daily letter with, "It seems that the White House is haunted." Word had reached Major Butt that the servants in the White House had been encountering this unknown specter for months, and they were scared. In his letter, Major Butt referred to this apparition as the Thing, and without a better name, the name stuck. As Major Butt told his sister, the domestic staff would feel the Thing as a slight pressure on the shoulder, as if a curious child were leaning over them to see what they were up to. When the staff members turned around, all they would see was an empty room. Major Butt scolded a housekeeper, telling her, "Ghosts have not the sense of touch, at least those self-respecting ghosts of which I've heard." I'm not sure how sound that logic is, and the housekeeping staff must have felt the same way. They stuck to their guns, insisting that it was the Thing touching them. According to Major Butt, only one member of the household actually saw the ghost. Ms. Marsh, personal aide to First Lady Helen Taft, reported not only feeling a shoulder touch, but saw the ghostly figure. She described seeing a young boy of about 14 or 15 years old with light, unkempt hair and sad blue eyes. In his letter, Major Butt wondered, "Now who on earth this can be, I cannot imagine." Major Butt was intrigued to learn more, but "I don't dare let any of the domestic staff see how interested I am in it." Major Butt did tell his sister that he was planning on doing his own research into the White House's history to find any clues of a boy matching the Thing's description that could provide a lead to the ghost's identity. Major Butt was not the only person excited to learn about the Thing. Major Butt wrote Taft was as anxious to hear about the Thing as I had been. But this was not Taft's first reaction. Major Butt wrote, "I repeated this gossip of the servants' hall to the president at the table, and he got in such a towering rage that it made me think that he had possibly heard of this thing before. He told me to make it known to the housekeeper that she was to tell the servants the first one who repeated this silly story would be discharged." The president wasn't concerned with the haunting, but he was concerned with the press and the public perception. Taft thought that the press would have a field day if they heard the story. Major Butt had a different thought for the president. "I reminded him that the help was in such a state of mind that, if it was positively believed that the upper floor of the White House was haunted, the servants there could not be kept in their places by executive order." And he was right. A kitchen worker did quit because of the thing, and others had threatened to do the same. Major Butt never wrote of the thing again, so we may never know if he identified the poor soul. Based on Major Butt's account, modern historians have also tried to identify the teenager who may have lived and died in the White House. Their efforts have also failed to produce an identity. The only known youngster known to haunt the White House is Willie Lincoln, who died in 1862 at the age of 11 of typhoid fever. Willie's ghost was a known figure in Washington lore, having first been reported in the 1870s. So it was probably not him. Plus, Willie was too young to match the description. Taft's threat to fire the staff must have been successful. There are no contemporary newspaper accounts of the thing. This story only came to light when Major Butt's papers were published after Taft's death, but also well after his own. In 1912, Major Butt needed a break, so at Taft's urging, he took a 6-week vacation to Europe. His return trip was booked aboard the ill-fated RMS Titanic. There are numerous unverifiable tales of valor regarding Major Butt's conduct after the ship struck the iceberg, but in the end, he sank to a watery grave to haunt the open seas. Thanks for watching.